Good morning, my name is Kelly Fitzpatrick and I'm a Youth Services Librarian at Bethlehem Area Public Library. And today I'm going to show you the basics of working with Sculpey, a oven-baked polymer clay. So the first thing you're going to get in the take-home kit is you're going to get some Sculpey, which looks like this. A tool to make holes, pointed, and then the other side will just make circular indentations. Tool for making textures. A wooden knife for cutting and smoothing. And a carving tool, either the metal or the wooden one. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to switch down to a top-down view and I'll tell you a little bit more about Sculpey. So one of the biggest advantages to working with Sculpey is that you can bake it in the oven at 275, 15 minutes for every quarter-inch that you have. And it also doesn't dry out. It does get stiff, but all you have to do is just work it with your hands to warm it up, and it'll start to get soft again. So the Sculpey is a lot more pliable now. So I'm going to show you some different techniques that can be used for when working with Sculpey. So with the wooden knife, you can use it to smooth things. So if you can just see, that has a much smoother texture there now. Or you can also use it to cut into and make a nice clean edge, just like that. That's really good for making sharp corners. So this is really good for making different types of texture. So if you can see, it now has a rough surface to it. And then you can just use this to smooth it out. So if you need to make holes or eye sockets, you can use this to make a pointed shape that will be narrowed in, or you can use the other end to just make a straight circle that'll go through. The other thing for using this is you can make really fine lines with it to create a bunch of different textures. You can also do some stippling. So then you can see the difference between the tiny holes and then the carved lines. You can also use the knife for making lines, but it just has a different texture to it. The other nice thing about this is you can roll out a snake. Then you can just use this to wrap it around it. And then you can just take it out and you have a nice spiral, depending upon what type of shape you're going for. So you can also do things like making flowers, where you just need to make a bunch of rounded teardrop shapes. You can smooth them into whatever shape you'd like. You could use the knife tool to cut out the exact shape that you want. And then you could just begin to stick the layers together. And you can just pinch them together. You have a basic flower. The nice thing is, because it doesn't dry out, it's really easy to reshape it. You can also use it to make various letters. And then the best thing is just to use the knife tool then to carve it out. You can even use this as almost like a pencil to draw the design. And then the other technique you can use with this is it's really good for rounding out and smoothing curved surfaces. Just to even out when you are making a hollowed out section. Now you have a B for Bepple. So the other thing that's really useful to use with Sculpey is aluminum foil. It's really lightweight and it can be used to bulk out any design you want so that the Sculpey's not too thick. So there's just basic U-shape. You can shape the aluminum foil into any base shape you want. And then you just want to take the Sculpey and make it nice and thin. And then you can take it and wrap it around the aluminum foil. A lot of Sculpey can just be used with shaping and working it with your hands. So I just formed a basic head shape for like a dragon or a snake. It can be shaped into anything else. And you can continue to carve and mold and shape things on the aluminum foil. So you can see I use this to make the nostrils and to push this upwards with the tool to make that texture. Alright, and then I also used it to make a hole for the eye socket. And then you can just place this inside once you have the right size. You can also use beads, are pretty common, glass beads, to make eyes. Then you just want to smooth the Sculpey in when you're attaching it to other pieces. You can also use this to make a scale texture by just using the side of the end and repeating that over again. You can see that it's created a scale texture. And then I can just use this to give some alternative texture to the horn. And then this can also be used to help remove any Sculpey that I don't want and help form the shape. To just shape the bottom part more. You can also use wire as well if you want to make a figurine. You don't always have to leave this inside. So if I continued making this sculpture, I would form this, fill this up completely. But there's also techniques where you just use the aluminum foil after you've hollowed something out to just make sure it keeps its shape. So if I wanted to make a three-dimensional rainbow, I can take this over the aluminum foil so that when it bakes in the oven, it will keep its shape. So once you're done sculpting, you just need to take your design, put it on a cookie sheet, and put it in the oven at 275 for 15 minutes, and then you can watch it if you have a slightly thicker design for every 5 minutes afterwards. You just want to make sure that it doesn't get brown or start to crack, which will happen if you overcook the Sculpey. The other thing is when it comes out of the oven before it finishes cooling, it will be somewhat pliable, so you do want to be careful to make sure you don't damage the sculpture. So I hope that helped you learn a little bit more about Sculpey so that you can get started. Thank you for watching our video, and I hope you have a good day.